the honest to God truth, 1886 is my
Is that a good year?
No, it's my fantasy year for being born, because I've oftentimes thought if I weren't born when I was a year in the past, and I've worked it out completely, because if you're born in 1886, then you're 14 in 1900 for the fin de siècle and for the World's Fair
Expos
in St. Louis, and you're too young to have fought in the Spanish-American War, so I don't have to do that. And then you're too old for World War I. And then I would have gone into vaudeville, and I would have done the Orpheum Circuit, the 5 a day, opening for the Nicholas Brothers. And then I would have been in early talkies, sort of as a character guy, and then I would have been I'm not a William Frawley type, but in early television, I would have had a role as a second banana. And then I would have died in the early 60s, and it would have been great.
Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Yeah. So before the Vietnam mess, I'd be gone. I'd be out of here, and it would be amazing.
I never thought about that. The year you wish you were born. I was born in '84, almost 100 years after 1886.
Right.
I'm not so hot on this year. I don't like where my life has ended up. No vaudeville. I wish there was vaudeville. I love the Catskills comedy, Mo. That's where I think.
Right.
I think I don't want to find World War II, but I would love to be Catskills in the 50s. That would have been the best time.
Yeah, I feel like if you were born in
like 35.
1935? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, because then you would have been, right, because the Catskills, the golden ages in the 50s, has come.
Yeah, I mean,
those hotels.
Yeah, the hotels, Grossinger's and Concord and Nevele. Yeah.
Well, my father was born in 1929. There's a name for that generation, and it's a little bit more cynical, I guess, because it's between the two world wars, and you wouldn't be a boomer, and boomers can be self-indulgent, and they're sucking up all the Social Security benefits.
Watch it. Next to it.
Oh, and what I was going to say is, as a kid, I memorized all the world capitals, and then I memorized the TV Guide, but it was pre-cable, so it wasn't
Easier.
that difficult with 3 networks.
Yeah.
But my first break in television is I wrote and produced for a show called Wishbone about okay, all right, which was a really amazing show to work on. Do you know
Is this PBS?
It's a PBS show about a dog.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, it was a really good show. Jack Russell Terrier, who in his dream life becomes the heroes of classic novels in order to familiarize kids between the ages of 6 and 11 with those themes, so that when they encounter them later on, they'll find them less daunting. So anyway, but that was the pitch. But
we didn't let Scott watch that.
No, that was too highbrow.
Well, no, he was a male dog also, and usually they use female dogs, and the opening credits were like, woo, because he would leap over the camera, and he was endowed. But yeah, so I did that first, but then I wanted to perform. I had done stage work. I'd been in the Southeast Asian tour, the musical Grease, which is true anyway. I played Duty
In Cambodia?
No, we did Jakarta, Singapore, and Hong Kong, and we were canceled in Kuala Lumpur.
Ugh. Tough crowds at Kuala Lumpur. You wouldn't want to play there anyway.
Well, no, it was actually just that one of the cast members had an Israeli passport, and they weren't allowed into Malaysia, because Malaysia at the time wouldn't allow Israelis in. I know, it's kind of a bummer.
You learn something new.
Yeah, but anyway, but then getting on camera, that kind of helped me get onto The Daily Show, not the Grease, but my work on Wishbone, because I came with stories. A lot of people could do the whole, hi, I'm reporting here, the fake reporter thing. That's not hard to do, and I think what made me appealing to them, why they hired me, is that I came with a bunch of stories. I am a big presidential history buff, and I had gone around the country trying to writing articles, but not selling them, about quirky presidential history sites, but the weird presidents, not the A-listers, the ones between Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. They got a lot of facial hair.
Rutherford.
Exactly. They're named Rutherford B. Hayes or Chester Alan Arthur. A couple of them were knocked off by anarchists, and I found that the people that worked at those sites were really unusual. And it's one thing to work at Monticello or Hyde Park, and you have people coming in who are instantly in awe. But if you work at the Benjamin Harrison House in Indianapolis, you've really got to put on a show to get people interested.
You're barking people in.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember there was at the Benjamin Harrison House in Indianapolis, there was a woman named Wanda Wheeler who dressed up in a Victorian dress, and she was in her 70s, and she had volunteered there full time for over 20 years. And seriously, by the end of the tour, you wanted to sandblast Mount Rushmore and replace it with Benjamin Harrison. I mean, she sold it. And so that's where, so I was finding great characters. And I found a guy at the Warren Harding house in Marion, Ohio, who was so obsessed with Florence Harding that he dressed up as her to give tours. And this was in a very small conservative Ohio town, and it wasn't a shticky drag queen act. I mean, he committed completely.